WIPM.
Since 2018, nearly 3,000 tax credit scholarships have been awarded to Black students in Illinois to attend private schools that best fit their needs. Now, Governor Pritzker wants to slash this program. In a time of much uncertainty, we need greater equity in education for our families and children, not less. Call your state representative and senator and urge them to stand up for our kids and their future by supporting the Tax Credit Scholarship Program. For more information, visit empowerillinois.org.
Boy, you niggas talk too much. Fuck that chitter chatter. If a nigga snake me, I'ma turn his ass to Casper. You been trapping all your life, still broke, you hustling backwards. If my bitch give you eye contact, then you can have her. Turn her to my old hoe, so I'll be looking past her. Don't mind me, I just keep it church like a pastor. You couldn't even imagine what it took to get it here. Ay, I just ran through $100 last year. Ay, keep that on the hush. Don't tell my baby mama's child support it hunt me like I know what you did last summer. Ay, real niggas weird, think these niggas bitches color pink. They probably somewhere washing they pussy in the fucking sink. Let that sink in. I put that on the fan. If a nigga cross me, they won't cross nobody again. Ay, many men they hate me, but they bitches wanna date me. Ay, baby, I've been going crazy. I've been on one lately, smoking presidential Ronald Reagan. I don't do nothing basic. Ay, report live from the basement, ballin' like a pacer. Ay, I'm getting that fast money in the fast lane like a racer. Ay, got a Glock with a 50 clip, it erase all your data. Ay, headshot or leave a fuck nigga on the pavement. Ay, his mama better pray for him. They hope the ambulance save him. Ay, will he live or will he die? His lifeline on the maybe. Ay, that's what he get for fucking with me. This shit real, that's on baby. Ay, hey, this shit get tragic. These niggas don't want no smoke. No, they don't want static. Ay, David Blaine shots from this Glock. It work magic. If I let this bitch fly, you'll disappear. You vanish. Poof, be gone. Ay, poof, be gone. Ay, poof, be gone. Ay, if I let them shots fly, you will disappear like magic. Boy, them niggas fuck niggas. They don't want no static. Fucking with me round this bitch, this shit'll get tragic.
Ride with me, I'm riding. We try for that gold medallion. Pass the drip, I'm trying to die too far. That money pile, but she be silent. When she see how much the pockets crowded, we be filing through them blue notes. Who want product? He a client. He just posing with that pole. Too dramatic. He want drama. We won't conversate about it. That Uzi clear the mileage. Let me keep it real, I ain't got no bodies. But for that fam, bitch, I'm catching charges. No need for them niggas to bodge. I'm already in his closet. Post up on the mound. I'm a pirate. He a dodger. Fastball at his face. He a race, not playing tomorrow. The shooter and the driver. One man gang, I'm on the island. Try that with Honda, you gon' get more than a couple patches. Helltown bitch, we ratchet. Get up with me for the bashes. Nigga, they couldn't imagine. Through the mud, we too savage. Used to sleep out the roaches, live by the poaching. Shit was tragic. Breaking down them bundles, moving thunder.
Terror, man, this shit get tragic. These niggas don't want no smoke. No, they don't want static. David Blaine shots from this Glock. It work magic. If I let this bitch fly, you'll disappear. You vanish. Poof, be gone. Ay, poof, be gone. Ay, poof, be gone. Ay, if I let them shots fly, you will disappear like magic. Boy, them niggas fuck niggas. They don't want no static. Fucking with me round this bitch, this shit'll get tragic.
Ascension.
Coming from where I'm from. Every season's hot where I'm from. Seems like everybody got a op where I'm from. Niggas barely make it to the top where I'm from. Coming from where I'm from.
Still fooling.
We done lost a lot where I'm from.
Still
Watching
fooling.
for them niggas trying to plot where I'm from. Cause everybody trying to make it out where I'm from.
Look, where I'm from, you gotta decide your own outcome. When niggas keep the peace like King and still move like Malcolm. Get it by any means as long as income is the outcome. Hit that stop button when they mouth run. Damn, straight bullets through the skies that powder babies just like talcum. Heartbroken mothers pray to God and ask him how come. You kill one a man, you gon' get outdone. Say yourself, cause Batman ain't gon' save you here in Gotham, where everybody grew up with a hoop dream. That ain't work, so now that brother out here trying to move peas. Shoebox stash and try and stack it up for that new V. Scat packs, Hellcats, SIT, that new Jeep. Ballin' like a school team. I get gone off one of them cones, stay in my zone, no 2-3. R.I.P. to all my dogs, this Hennessy hit concrete. Free my boys behind them walls until they see us all free. Till our day come, we gon' keep on ball link. Chillin'.
Coming from where I'm from. Every season's hot where I'm from. Seems like everybody got a up where I'm from. Niggas barely make it to the top where I'm from. Coming from where I'm from. We done lost a lot where I'm from. Watching for them niggas trying to plot where I'm from. Cause everybody trying to make it out where I'm from. I'm from the city of Foe now. Folks in mode now. Blocks they strolling while the cops patrolling. Or they in the trap trying to whip that baking soda. Kids gotta eat, gotta make payola. Try to survive in the windy city of Shy, where even if you got a job, you finesse on the side. Cause they steady raising taxes and the rent's getting high. It's getting hard to get by, you feel that pressure apply. Got some weight on your shoulders and some stress in your chest. Eyes bloodshot red cause you ain't getting no rest. I feel your pain, but you can climb out them depths. I know it's hard stacking bread, paying off them debts. But stay focused and maintain and keep going. And watch the ones that you keep the closest. Never leave your circle open, cause a lot of niggas out here serpents. Snakes in the grass lurking for certain. Every season's hot where I'm from. Seems like everybody got a up where I'm from. Niggas barely make it to the top where I'm from. Coming from where I'm from. We done lost a lot where I'm from. Watching for them niggas trying to plot where I'm from. Cause everybody trying to make it out where I'm from.
That's why we shine wherever we go. 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 Lord, Lord. Welcome to the mind of a pothead. On my head, see a young nigga got dressed. We don't give a fuck what the cop said. I'm living a legacy, so even when I die, I am not dead. Nigga, I am not dead. Fuck with me.
That's what I do the most. Styling on you, ho. That's what I do the most. Remember I was broke. Not no more. Count money, smoke dough. That's what I do the most. Add up, add more. That's what I do.
Great afternoon to you, wonderful people. Welcome to this Monday edition of I Said What I Said. We are live from inside the What's In It for the Black People Media Studios alongside Toussaint Werner. My name is Herb Howard. Each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we get together right here with you guys, and we discuss issues that are currently impacting the black community. We discuss how those issues impact us as individuals, but also how they impact us as a collective. And along with your help, we talk through many of these issues in hopes of finding the optimum solutions for how we can overcome said issues. Again, we want to overcome them as individuals, but perhaps more importantly, overcome them as a collective. Thank y'all so very, very much for choosing to be a part of this conversation. As always, your input is valued. It is certainly appreciated. Anything you want to add to the conversation, feel free to do so. We will read through as many of your comments as possible while we go through the show. We would kindly request you please take a quick second to share the broadcast. Share it on your personal page. Share it even within your personal network with absolutely anyone that you think would add value to this conversation or find value in this conversation. We welcome them to be a part of the discussion. So please, 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 if you would be so kind, take a quick second to share the broadcast. Again, this is I Said What I Said. It is intellectual thuggery at its absolute finest. My name is Herb. His name is What's What's happening, good brother?
What's up, family? How you? I'm blessed and highly favored.
Ain't nothing to it. What's the word?
You know what I usually say? I'm blessed and highly favored, and I just really be some BS because I think it's mystery Sky Daddy, and mythical Sky Daddy anyway.
I think you blessed by the best. That's you.
Yeah, I am by me, but by me today too, for real.
You really feel blessed today,
Bruh, I was this close to 3 car accidents this morning, bro.
Yeah.
So I got
move over.
Eric in
Case this
school
glass
this
breaks.
morning. I'm good buddy. I missed every one of them. So yeah, it's probably be smart to
me,
stay
huh?
close. But I'm leaving the school this morning. You know, you got to get dropped off like around 6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, you gotta drop out at this point.
Nah, he got they got early workouts
Oh, okay.
and late workouts.
I thought you were talking about like
days.
school. Okay, cool. You're
Yeah.
talking about to get to the. Okay, I'm with you.
So I come out that joint, G, and it's right across the street from the Streets of Sand. So the garbage trucks be coming up out of the joint.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know what this old lady was doing, man. The garbage truck was coming in and she just rammed it head first, man.
Really?
I don't know what
She must have been
doing.
asleep.
Man, she tore that car to pieces, bro. But I guess it's sad at one level, then it's like hopeful at another level, right? Because you saw like
The humanity in folks?
the humanity in folks, pedestrians jumping out the cars. You know, I jumped out the car to check on her. She was bleeding kind of bad, but I didn't want to touch her because you just don't know.
Yeah.
So they called the ambulances or whatever. But I was also looking at the dude in the garbage truck, and he was like,
He was distraught or he was pissed.
he was just like irritated.
Yeah, like why'd
He
you
was
start
just
my
like-
day with this bullshit?
Yeah, just like and I know it's stressful out here for everybody, but that just was a terrible kind of reaction to me. You know?
I get it though. I ain't gonna
get
front
it,
like
but
I don't
was-
get it.
But it's just like, damn, man.
Like she could be like gravely wounded here.
you don't know what's going on.
And you more irritated that she didn't inconvenience your day.
Yeah, you know.
I'll be
Then I'm
irritated,
back around the crib, man. Somebody again. I don't know. What you just must be drunk driving day or something, man. Somebody
Drunk
ran
driving
the
day.
pole on 43rd and King Drive on the way back to the crib, knocked the pole down. I was like, man, what is y'all on, man? Let me get the hell up out these streets.
Folks be wilding, man.
It was a different kind of day, man.
Well, I'm glad you didn't get caught up in any of that crossfire, my brother. Glad you made it here safely. Always good to see you. Hope you are well. Glad you're feeling blessed and highly favored on this here Monday afternoon.
As it should be.
I'm feeling pretty good today too, man. I'm done hanging out with anybody that works at this network. Okay, all of y'all get on my damn nerve. I've been partying with you. I've been partying with y'all since DJ birthday.
I don't hang with him anyway.
No, but I saw you this weekend hanging with them. What are you talking about?
Birthday party and had 5
That's by
plates.
accident.
Huh?
And he came to see a birthday party and had about 5 plates.
Did he?
The man was eating a plate, said, and I'm gonna make another one.
I've been. It's been a whiftable celebration ever since DJ birthday. He kicked it off. Or was May's birthday before that? I'm really sick of all y'all, to be honest with you. Okay, and my birthday was in the middle of it too. But then this weekend, as I'm leaving the studio Friday, Sadiq calls me. All right, he's like, Herb, hey, come through. About to sit out on the deck in the back. Come through, right? So I'm like, Sadiq don't even eat chicken. Like, what am I bringing Sadiq? I said, Sadiq, what do you want to drink? What should I don't know. Is it like vegan rules to this alcohol? I don't understand. And so he like, oh, you know, they got this plant-based wine and something. I said, oh my God. Okay, cool. Fine, right? Go to the liquor store. The store I go to, they don't have this plant-based wine, right? And so I called them back like, yo, they don't have the plant-based wine. All right, what should I get? So I got some wine, went over his crib. I also got some liquor, right, that I was going to indulge in later, but I ended up indulging in it at his house anyway, right? So I got this wine and like some Basil Hayden, and we sitting out there drinking. So I get over there. Basil Hayden is a whiskey.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm drinking that. Then he's like, "Yo, where Toussaint at?" I said, "I don't know. Right? I don't know.
Where's Batman?
Right?" And so he's like, "Call him and tell him to come over here." I said, "Toussaint ain't coming over here to come drink and hang out. That's not what he finna do." I'm like, "You call him." All right? So he calls. Two like, "Yeah, I'm at my son game. You know, when the game is over, you know, I'll bend around and come through." Right? And so I say, "Okay, cool." Right? And no, he said, "I'll call you after the game and see what's up." Right? And so a few hours go by. Me and Sadiq is good kicking it. First of all, we are kicking it. We at the crib. They got all this food, right? His son is making all this food, and we smashing, right? All this vegan food is fire. banging shit, right? Chili cheese fries and greens and mac and cheese and all kind of stuff, right? Then his wife come in and she get to cooking some more shit. So we banging. A few hours go past, he look up, he say, man, 2 ain't came yet. I said, what did I tell you 4 hours ago, sir? Okay? He's not coming, right? So he get the calling 2 phone back. He calling 2 phone, not just not answering, right? Just not answering the phone, right? So I say, Sadiq, you're wasting your cell phone package or whatever. Just hang up, okay? And so hang up, he finally get over it. It's not gonna happen, ain't no 2, right? It's about 10:30, okay?
Mind you, I was legitimately trying to duck everybody.
Oh, no. Like 10:30 is just knock on the door.
No, you missed the part. He called again and
Did
caught
he?
me. He caught me by accident.
You accidentally picked
I
up?
accidentally picked up.
Damn it.
He's like, where you at, man? Come on.
2 pop up, right? Him and his son, they pop up. And so now we starting from scratch again now, right? We refilling cups, we remaking plates, and now we go back outside again and we sitting out there chilling. I look at the clock, I'm like, you know what? I'm leaving, fam. I was like, I'm gonna go in the house, I'm going to the bathroom, and I'm leaving. Sadiq say, no, you not. Okay, cool. That both of y'all up, went to the bathroom, walked straight out the door, blew the horn from the front. I'm out, fam. Y'all, I don't have time for y'all. Then, Saturday, Mr. Brian Foster, he of In the Zone. That's all I'm gonna say about
He
that.
be having parties all the time, though. You went to one of his joints?
So he for the whole entire pandemic, he's been doing this like virtual party, right? It's a weekly thing, virtual voices. It's a good time. I've gone to several virtually. He decided that he wanted to have a 3D party.
What's a 3D party?
3-dimensional, like in person. Like
Oh,
right
okay.
here. And so, yeah. When I woke up at his house the next day, on Sunday, okay? when I woke up at his house on Sunday, I was just like, I'm sick of all y'all. I don't like it. Then Maze had the secret VIP party over at TP, and I didn't even make it to that because it was just too much. It was just way too much, and I'm sick of y'all, man. So I'll see y'all at the studio and nowhere else for at least like 3 months. Y'all leave me alone. Lose my phone number, all of y'all. I've been hanging. Then Dawn's birthday was what, a week or 2 ago. Did like 2 or 3 function things with her. I'm done. No more y'all.
So I ever told you my Brian Foster party story?
No, but if it's similar to mine,
It's not.
we should probably turn the cameras off.
It's not.
Okay.
So, story time with 2 Brian Foster party edition.
All right.
Right. So they do this toy giveaway maybe around Christmas time, and this is a few years ago. And I didn't even know who Brian Foster was at the time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But one of my homies, Chris, lives like in Elgin or something like that.
Okay.
But he works in the city, so whenever he want to really go out, he brings his clothes and changes at my house.
You're not
like
going back to Elgin.
Right, like it's the locker room. You know what I mean? So he comes to my crib like, man, come kick it at this little party with me. And yeah, you know, I ain't going to no parties.
I didn't think so.
I was like, yeah, I don't want to go.
Okay.
You know what I mean? He was like, no, come on. I was like, bruh, if I go with you, I'm wearing exactly what I got on. Right. So mind you, I'm on some look like I just did 10 hours of construction. You know what I'm saying? Like I got on construction Timbs, some raggedy jeans, a hoodie. I'm lounging around the house kind of. I'm not changing clothes, bro. So he was like, man, I don't care. Just go like that. He was like, they're your frat brothers anyway. Like that was going to move me. You know, that doesn't matter to me.
You said that to say what?
Right. That means nothing to me. I absolutely could care less. So
you ignorant.
He fully convinced me to go, man. So we go up in there, and these is the bougiest niggas that I could expect to see. Oh, Brian Foster included. You know,
it's B False crowd.
Yeah. So all these niggas is in like, you know, double-breasted tuxedos and shit. You know what I mean? Bow ties and all that.
And you got it on Tim's and jigs.
And then the Sophie, when the Sophie first opened. Right. So it's very, very, very sexy. You know what I mean? Fireplaces and all that. Everybody sitting around with their wingtip shoes and the whole demo.
I got an Izwiz business meeting at Sophie tomorrow. Did I tell you about that?
No, but we talk about it.
All right.
So everybody's in their wingtips and shit. And I come in there looking like I just came off the street. Mm-hmm. Right. So everybody's looking at me like, who's this bum? Right. Mm-hmm. So we're in there. You know, I don't really drink like that. But I had a drink with my man. We just sitting there chilling. Mm-hmm. Right. Maybe an hour later, a friend of mine walks in the door. Mm-hmm. Right. Now, this friend of mine is beautiful. Right. Instagram kind of famous.
Right.
Really publicly famous at this point. I ain't even going to say her name, but model type.
Sure.
Bad.
Sure.
For real bad. So she don't know nobody in there. And she just, just the average woman. So her whole thing is leaning on me because she uncomfortable being around people she don't know.
Yeah.
So I see all the dudes in there like, who's Shorty?
Right.
Right?
And then that the natural transition becomes then, who is this nigga?
Who's this dude that look like he working?
Who the guy in the pajamas and shit getting the coldest woman in here?
With the baddie. And then every woman in there is now like,
oh, now it's who's he too?
Dude with the baddie?
Excuse me,
I
sir.
said, boy, you translucent Negroes.
Excuse me, sir, with your 3-piece and Rolex. This guy over here with the raggedy jeans is clearly someone I need to know.
Right. I was like, boy, you Negroes are so predictable, man. It was funny to me. The whole energy shifted the whole night. Now niggas want to walk up to me like, hey, man, you want a drink? Nigga, you don't know me? The whole experience was hilarious. I was laughing inside, but I should have been laughing outside. I was like, you clowns.
Yeah, nah. Shout out to
But shout out to B-Falls. It was a cool party.
Shout out to B-Falls. He definitely had himself a shindig. He had himself a shindig, and things were happening. Yeah, man. So a few things I want to get into, but first of all, before we get into some of the discussions for today, can we just acknowledge that KG is the realest nigga walking?
KG, G. I appreciate him acknowledging the travelers, G. I appreciate him acknowledging the whole crib, but when he acknowledged the travelers and Bebe and them,
he's the realest nigga walking,
like,
G.
salute to KG.
He said to all the travelers,
I respect it, bro.
I said.
And since we on that line of conversation, just salute to Chris Webber too and Jalen Rose. Did you
for
see
deading that thing? I've heard about it. I didn't watch any of the Hall of Fame festivities this weekend. I just wasn't in the mood to be sad about it. It's gonna be one day I might sit down and watch it, but I just don't feel like being sad about the Kobe thing. I don't subject myself to sadness intentionally.
But it wasn't even nothing about, at least from my understanding, it wasn't about no Kobe thing. You know, Chris Webber got inducted to the Hall of Fame too.
Right.
So they interviewed him on ESPN and they had Jalen interview him. And you know, Jalen and Chris ain't talked since probably 10, 15 years now. Yeah. So just to see the energy, and Jalen was like, man, I love you. And Chris was like, I love you too. And because that was such a big part of my childhood.
That's huge.
Do you know so first of all, I met the 5-5 at Abbott Park on 95th Street.
Okay.
Right?
Shout out to the 5-5 for being at Abbott Park.
So Nuke is my cousin by marriage. 95th Street shit.
Right, for sure.
But, you know, being whatever I was, 15, whatever it was, and the whole 5-5 is hooping at Abbott Park, that was like watching Jesus walk on water. Easy. It was the greatest thing in the world.
Easy.
So to see that, it was good. It was a good look.
Yeah, no, that's really, really good, man. Unfortunately, sometimes we let these, feuds. I won't even call them beefs. Just feuds, family feuds at that. Just last too long, man. They just play out for so long, and then when you talk about them playing out publicly, it adds another layer to it, right? Of emotion and pride, and they've been dealing with that, man, for the better part of the last couple of decades, and it's good to see them kind of, at least, get a foundation they can build upon and rebuild their relationship, man, because they are absolutely two of the most influential people in the history of basketball.
Real talk.
And that's no hyperbole. That's no exaggeration.
Talk. Yeah, they might be the most influential. Maybe outside of Allen Iverson.
They're up there. Jordan would be the most influential. AI for sure.
Mike,
but
AI,
the 5-5,
maybe that 5-5 team.
They're as influential.
And what's crazy about that, G, when you really think about it, other than the bald heads and the black socks, because they always get the long, short compliment. UNLV really did that first.
The running Rebels with LJ and Greg Anthony and Stacey Augman and them. Yeah.
Yeah, but they get, they get the respect for it. They get the love for changing at least the first fashion drive in basketball. It's funny now the shorties who's going back to the 1960s because everybody that play on my son's team is wearing nut cutters.
Yeah, everything kind of goes in cycles and it comes back and it's like, yo, fam, why are your shorts so small? I can't hoop like that.
It's so corny.
It's
weird. I told them this morning, I said, I'm going to go buy you some clothes, but I'm going to buy them in the size.
I'm going to buy them the size that you
I
are.
refuse to let you walk. You ain't built like that, G. You got a booty. You look homosexual. This is not fashionable on you, fam. He don't get it.
You ain't one of these little pencil thin kids.
Yeah,
you got that. You got thighs like this.
You work out. You built. You can't do this, G. It's not for you. This is a fashion trend you're gonna have to miss.
It's not a good look.
You look like you're advertising.
I hate you so bad.
I'm just saying. Hey, the whole West Side contingency is in the comments talking about the West Side take care of you because of what KG said.
Hey.
He got lucky. He played ball. If he played ball, the West Side would have ate him alive.
We've often acknowledged the family, the familial nature of the West Side. That is true. We've acknowledged that several times here. But just for him to actually say it and then call baby by name, it's different.
But you know what, though?
It's different, and I like it.
I hate doing this because Maze said this earlier, and it irks me that I'm going to go right into his trap.
Okay.
So Maze was like, we're going to give the Izwizians some fodder for later. And he started talking about the KG thing.
Okay.
You know, and he talked about him thanking the travelers. And Todd, being Todd, started Todding.
Oh, my God.
Right? Todd, being Todd, started Todding. The gangs are bad for us, this and that and the third. And Maze was pushing back. Like, well, you know, it's interesting that everybody and their mom in the black community can quote Godfather. You know, and they quote it with pride. Everybody can quote Scarface, and they quote it with pride.
Right.
Those were gangs, essentially. You know what I mean?
100%.
When you think about the Daley administration and how he came through the Irish mobs and the Irish gangs, those were gangs that garnished him power.
100%.
Last week we surely talked about Israel and Palestine. You know, it's the extermination of the brutes. It's the same conversation. Those are the Israelis in a lot of ways act as a gang, right? And when you start thinking about Israel, that's a nation state. It's not really a religious-based concept, but when anything you say bad about them, they say it's, you know, you attacking Judaism. But it's really a gang kind of mob kind of movement.
100%.
You know what I mean? But when it comes to us, how we look at that element, it's like we shun it and don't give it its just due or its value. And then you wonder why every community is... Look, I heard somebody say this, Noam Chomsky, how you say his last name? I can't think how you say his last name. And he was doing this like question and answer conversation, and they was talking about Israel, and they was talking about legislation from the U.S., and they was talking about legislation, foreign policy in general. And his whole conversation was about, you know, U.S. foreign policy is usually rooted in how to maintain U.S. power. And someone asked a question like, you know, would there be any other reason why the U.S. legislates the way they legislate around foreign policy? He was like, could it be based in peace talks and keeping the peace in other regions? He was like, fuck no. All this shit is about brute force and obtaining power.
That's it.
And that's the only way to obtain power is through brute force. That's it. When you think about that segment of our community, we shun them more than anyone else. But they are the only warrior class that we have. And then we wonder why we get the kind of politicians that we get. And I don't even mean that in regards to like going to the mad or being violent, but they won't even stand up for a black cause.
Nah.
Because they're raised in this kind of cowardice kind of environment.
That's what it is. It's about the indoctrination.
The expectation is for you to be a coward.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like we praise this cowardice, beta behavior. That's what makes you an acceptable black man in a lot of ways. How much you can shun your authenticity, or how much you can shun that I don't know, I don't want to say anger, but that assertiveness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So when you see it coming from a contingency from the community, it's like, oh, look at him.
Yeah, I think the problem is, it's like you said, how they were raised, right? It's the indoctrination, but it's also the desire to assimilate into whiteness, right? And so anybody in the black contingent, right, who is not moving as those aspirational black people are, then it's like, oh, y'all the problem, right? Black people versus niggas conversation, right? And it is that way because y'all just want to be like white folks. And then y'all feel like this is the way you got to move to be like white folks. Not grasping the fact that this is how white folks get like white folks. You know what I'm saying? Like, they get to move unapologetically and be themselves. Us, we got to walk on eggshells. And so, we going to dismiss this certain segment of our population because they do this or they move like that or they do that. And it's like, man, please, if y'all really knew white folks, y'all understand this is exactly how they got to be the standard of what you seek so desperately to have.
But they really do know white folks.
No, they don't.
White folks show their hand every day.
That's fine.
Israelis is taking Palestinians about their crib right now like, this mine, bitch.
Yeah. But that's okay,
They show
though.
their hand every day.
But it's okay, though.
Even in the fact that we just said we can quote The Godfather. We can quote, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Those are
because
based
that's
on
okay.
White folks' theories and philosophies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know what we're missing in the narrative because we watch and study the narrative all the time.
You can be Meyer Lansky or you can be whoever the fuck but you can't be Larry Hoover, right? You can't be whomever, right?
Nicole Rogers says we just need to get the only warrior class to understand that other black folks are not the enemy. I think the conversation that I'm having though is that maybe they are. Mm-hmm. Maybe they are the enemy.
And the way all of our movements have reached their demise is through proximity. The closest motherfucker to you is the most dangerous person, right?
I know the proximity conversation, right? You do whatever crime and harm to whoever.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if somebody is if somebody is the greatest threat to black prosperity or progression, it's black people. You know what I'm saying? That would stand in opposition of how we choose to go about progressing. You know what I'm saying? It ain't necessarily, you can see white folks coming from a mile away. It's the motherfucker right next to you that look just like you. You don't see that coming.
So Adrian Anderson says, why is it a problem that people don't particularly care for people involved in criminal behavior? So I understand the perspective in which you're coming from.
What's criminal?
Wait, no, I understand the perspective, right? Because criminal, how we associate, just like you said, proximity, it usually takes place, the victims are usually victimized within the arena in which whoever they live in.
You kill who you're around.
Right? But there's another side to this conversation, and that's what I'm saying. It's the extermination of the brutes. Power is obtained via force, right? And because we don't leverage our, I don't want to say criminal, but let's say our warrior class of men, because we shun them, right?
Our rebels.
We don't leverage them in any way, right? So they have we treat them as if they're valueless in our community.
They don't have an attachment to nothing else.
They don't have attachment to the community at all.
Cancel them out.
Right? We're shunning them,
right?
Whereas the white people, the white folks, the white community,
right?
They harness that energy and say, here, become the police.
Yeah, you can't.
The Italians harness that community and say, here, become part of this thing of ours.
Right.
The Irish harness that community and say, here, become part of this thing of ours and grow into being the mayor of Chicago. Right, and then raise your son to be the next mayor of Chicago.
Right,
you know what I mean. Everyone else raises that element and embraces it in some way.
Right,
and what happens is that element becomes a protecting force for that community, and whatever else they're gonna do,
it's what allows them to be threatening
on the perimeters of that community, on the barriers of that community. Right, i.e., the warrior class. Our classes become criminals because we know they're shunned by white society, but they're also shunned by us. They're not harnessed by us either. And this is a fairly new concept, truthfully, right? Mays also asked a question like, Gen X is about to miss the boat. Where's black power in the Gen X demographic? And I think that's a valid question to ask. Like, who can we say is the contingency of black power that grew up out of this specific generation? I had this conversation with somebody else the other day, and I said Jay-Z, and I thought that was a shame. But I really think that we looked at Jay-Z as black power, right? But even in Mays' conversation, he was like, the only person I could think of that had any of that kind of remnants of that power in the city of Chicago was you. And he pointed to Todd because of the position that Todd held in city government. And he might be right, right? But Todd holding that position in city government and not being able to leverage that class might be why Todd got moved around the way he got moved around.
Yeah, you have to have a threatening
There's no
aspect,
threat.
right? So if you are a daily, then cool, I'm going to go be the mayor, which is fine, but I'm going to work in close partnership with whoever's running the underworld of that shit too, right?
And
so yeah, I don't got no criminal record. I'm the daily. I'm gonna go be the mayor.
And
but everybody who do, them my man's not they one phone call away.
Man,
I don't shun them.
On a whole nother note, I know people from Todd's daddy's generation.
I don't shun them.
Who was definitely that element, and Todd's daddy was rocking with him.
It's necessary.
It's just interesting to see how the dynamic shifts.
How do we start this conversation today, right? KG, at his Hall of Fame speech, shouted out the traveling vice lords and they chief.
Right. Brady Rock said keep that same energy for all criminals, not just those that don't wear suits and aren't formally educated, because them is criminals too.
Keep it a buck.
There's a show on Netflix.
I'm saying, right? What is crime? Like who gets to decide what's criminal behavior and what's not?
It's all criminal.
The people in power.
It's
if I'm empowered, then what you doing is criminal. And even though I'm over here doing the same thing and worse, this is okay.
Look here, man. This is capitalism. Capitalism is forged through exploitation. How could you be anything other than a criminal to win in this? It's forged through exploitation. That is the very nature of the game, right? Everybody that gets rich on someone else's back.
Behind every great fortune, there's a great crime.
Period. Period, right? We can go through the trajectory. We can go through the history of all of them, right?
Pick any great fortune. Now, I'm talking about you got a few bucks in your pocket.
Any group.
A great fortune, there's a great crime.
We can pick any group and attach the great crime to them, right? Which in turn leverage them to become the power sector they've become in American society for sure, right? Yeah. Period. So America, I'm only focusing on Israel because isn't this in the news today, right? But when you start thinking about NATO or Israel and America versus the rest of the world, because America's the only people that really side with Israel. Right? But the reason they side with Israel is because they want to protect their interests in the Middle East, i.e. absorb the resources, i.e. we got the biggest army, so we the biggest bully on the block. Fuck with us if you want to, see what happens. Period.
You can't post enough videos of 10-year-olds getting blown up and crying in the street to make me give a fuck.
We don't give a fuck.
Okay, you don't got.
Does it mess with my money?
Right.
Does it mess with my progress?
Right.
Man, take them out their cribs, blow their. I don't give a fuck.
Nobody cares, fam.
Nobody cares, B.
This is America. This is a place where we've always gone in people's crib and blow their fucking face out in front of their kids and wives and like this is what we do. You think we care, fam?
Look,
we drop bombs from across the ocean all the time. We don't care.
Don't give a shit.
Okay.
Don't give a shit.
Nah.
Yeah, man. It's just interesting to see how we respond to it, and it's often said
when that's exactly what they do.
That black people are the moral compass of America, right? I've heard that a bunch of times, and I tend to agree with it. And I think we're the moral compass of America because we've never had anything else but our morals.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But at the end of the day, it's you can't serve two masters, right? So on one hand, I shun capitalism. I talk about it all the time on here. Right, but then everybody else, I don't want to say everybody else, but the vast majority of us embrace capitalism. You cannot embrace capitalism and not want to play by the rules of the game. The rules of the game say this is about exploitation. So if you about this life, then you got to play by the rules of the game.
It's how they leverage Malcolm X saying by any means necessary, right? And that's this, militant, rebel, almost terroristic threat, right? When that is exactly what y'all do on a daily basis. Y'all get to the bag by any means necessary. Okay, if we got to drop bombs on your country, we drop bombs on your country. If we got to enslave an entire race of people, we enslave an entire race of people. We gonna get to the bag regardless. If we got to knock down our own fucking buildings and take a few thousand Americans with us, collateral. It's cool.
Man, Deborah Wilson says, too, it's interesting what you say. I've been to Israel twice. The performance of male identity in Israel is to show aggressive leaning and behavior. Strength, Israeli men speak with all the bass in their voice for, let me see if this will move, because I've been having problems. And it won't. And I'm getting something else at this point. Deborah Wilson.
2, it's interesting what you say. I have been to Israel twice. The performance of male identity in Israel is to show aggressive leaning behavior. Strength. Israeli men speak with all the bass in their voice. For black American men, it is the opposite. You are taught and encouraged to be non-threatening.
Real talk. I don't know if I told the story publicly, but I've told you before. I was in a meeting with Rahm Emanuel one time, and I pissed him off. And Rahm Emanuel flat out was like, man, fuck you. This is the mayor of the city of Chicago. Now, in that moment, I thought it was awesome.
I want to dab you up right now about it.
I thought it was great because I pissed him off to the point, I didn't even tell you what I said, but I pissed him off to the point where I got him out of his body. You know what I mean? But it's still, I thought it was dope to see him operating in his proper polarity.
Yeah.
Like, because what I said was threatening to him as well. You know what I mean?
Right.
But he was like, it is what it is. Let's see what's happening. And I'm in the room.
Can you whip my ass, though?
Can you whip my ass, though? I can respect it. Right? But I'm in the room with about 20 black Chicago dignitaries, and I'm confused as how I got to the room. First of all, so the first 20 minutes, I'm kind of quiet because I'm looking at them as my elders, the predecessors. I'm being respectful of these other people. And Rahm is saying some off-the-wall stuff. And I'm waiting for them to respond, and nobody responds. They just eating it. I just couldn't take it no more.
Yeah, nah.
I couldn't take it no more. Right. So I said what I said, and he responded. I respect it, though. I got more respect for him saying what he said to me than the rest of them being quiet at the table. It just was daunting to me. I was like, what planet is this, fam?
Yeah, but then you put yourself on the radar of the mayor.
I don't care.
Because that ain't the end of that story.
It ain't. He ain't the man no more.
Anyhow, man, yeah, that's a real thing, man. I think that when you look at another thing that's in the news right now, it is that same conversation, right? When you talk about all of these politicians that are saying teaching race theory, right, is in schools.
Critical race theory. Nobody wants to deal with it.
Nobody wants to deal with it, right? And again, it goes back to the same thing, right? We can control this narrative about us, right? But at the same time, as we want to control the narrative about the true history of white behavior in America, we can't put out enough news stories. We can't create enough apps to let you know every single time a black person commits a crime in this country. I am so sick of these motherfuckers with these damn apps telling me that somebody just got robbed on 43rd and such, then somebody got shot on 100 and such, then out west somebody. Hey, dumbass, third biggest city in the country. A lot of crimes happen here, okay? And they have been happening here. You just didn't have an app to tell you that. You lose your fucking mind to know every single crime that happens in a city the size of Chicago. And y'all want to track this shit? Missing me with that, fam. And then we can't go over there because last night Man, listen, okay? Been in the city a long time. All these things have been happening. It's just in the 90s, there was not an app to say every single time a shot was fired somewhere or every single time a car was stolen somewhere. Now you got all these paranoid-ass people helping these white people spread their narrative about how violent, dangerous black people are, how violent, dangerous. Like, miss me with that shit. Because while y'all are so aggressively trying to tell that narrative about us, y'all are equally aggressive in making sure the true narrative about y'all is hidden and buried forever. And the hypocrisy of that is unacceptable to me. But it's not surprising when it comes from white people. It surprises and irritates me when it comes from black people. Like, okay, you got your app. You want to know every single time something happens in this city? Cool, right? Miss me with that, though, right? I'm not helping you spread that narrative at all. Because, again, it's the third largest city in the country.
On that note, I'm from 63rd and I'm from 64th. Little rapper, Lil Reese gets shot
Right.
this weekend.
Right. He was trying to rob a car? He was trying to steal somebody's car?
That doesn't sound right for me.
Well, I've heard there's a video of him, like, once the police on the scene, he's, like, getting arrested, and the dude, like, that's the fuck you get for trying to rob my car. You know what I'm saying?
I saw that video, but I was confused by it.
Because I thought he got shot, and then I heard he got beat up, and I was like, did he get shot or did he get beat up?
Both, I believe, because he was leaking pretty bad.
Okay.
And if he didn't, I don't know where he
I heard he got shot in the eye. Then I heard he got beat up. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But he was trying to steal a car out of the garage?
That just didn't sound right to me.
Why?
Because I would assume he wouldn't have to be stealing cars.
Why?
Because he's in the position to not have to be stealing cars.
I don't think so.
I think so. I think so.
I don't think so.
I think so.
Why?
Because the money that they've earned with that group of them should be enough for him to not be selling cars. I know he's not like a premier guy in that group, but if you understand how that internet fame works and how that money circulates, he should have a couple of $1,000.
What I understand is how the street market works, and if he can get that car to such and such spot, then 15, 20 bands today, easy. And I'll do that tomorrow too, and I'll do it tomorrow, and that's how I make 15, 20 bands every day.
Either way, though, he's been shot several times, and I've seen both videos. Mm-hmm. The first video is alarming. Mm-hmm. Because they just jumped out the car at the light and let it go, right? And regardless of who was around or whatever it was.
Yeah. Okay.
So just and I don't know, dude. You know what I mean? I've been in the circle with dude before though, and his whole aura energy is different. And whatever he did to whoever he did it to, they want little homie. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And they say we froze too.
I can tell. I'm watching
They say his homie stole the car. He was just in it. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know the details of the story, but they left him leaking. You know, we're not froze on YouTube. They left him leaking. DJ, we froze. Can we do something about that on Facebook? Or how does this? I don't know what to do here. But either way, to the Lil Reese story, they left him leaking, and that became a conversation on Don's show for a hot second.
Yeah.
And I heard DJ say something like, you know, people that, what'd you say, big homies was in your neighborhood is calling you the big homie?
Yeah, man, that's kind of crazy. Like, you know, like we grew up, you know, calling, you know, like big homies, and the big homies, you know, respected that. Like now, I see somebody, a big homies call me, hey man, what's up, big homie? You know, it's kind of weird because if I'm the big homie, then
it's role reversal.
You know what I'm saying? Like what's going on? You know, right. And that kind of irritates me though. Like real talk. Like I was like, this grown man did like 20 years in prison. He came and worked at like a warehouse, but he kept saying big homie. I was like, hey, you gotta stop that, bro. You know, like you the big homie. You feel me? Like you the big homie.
But he's gotten another perspective now, and so he understands perspective. Like, you know.
I'm saying maybe he ain't because maybe he's not grown into manhood and he sees you as a man.
That's what I'm saying.
Right? So I'd had this program that I ran on the West Side, right? And it's interesting. And we was talking to the shorties about what they think of the men in their community. Mm-hmm. And let's say we had, 20 boys, right? And all of them kind of gave this very negative viewpoint of manhood in our community, right? And I'm running the program and there were some other people, let's say the funders was there. I don't know who they were, but they was somebody with some fake authority, right?
Sure.
One shorty got up and was like, the men in my community is bitches. Flat out, that's what he said, right? And the pseudo authority was like, don't speak like that, don't. And I said, no, let them rock. You know, we having conversation. I respect it. So we having a conversation with him, and he's saying, he's speaking about the men in his community and what he thinks of them, and he has a very limited view of his understanding of manhood and his value of manhood and even and his value of masculinity.
Yeah.
It held no real weight in his mind.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say this program was a, I don't know, 6-week program, maybe 8-week program. We did this with the shorties.
Right.
And the same kid who opened the door for the day of what do we think of the men in your community, when the program was over, he was breaking down crying, afraid that he wouldn't see us anymore. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that speaks volumes to the black male experience. And some
absolutely
levels,
does.
I fully agree. The vast majority of us try to become men through the eyes of not being like the men we see represented.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we forge an identity based off lack instead of abundance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's sickening and sad, and you get what you get.
From that.
Right? But at every level, the men in power and whatever form of power that they hold in our community, whether it be through economic power, which is limiting, or whether it be through street power, which is also limiting, they represent, at some level, a retardation of both sides of the spectrum.
Unpack that a little bit.
So at the economic power set, if you're a black man, you've essentially capitulated, and I said that right.
Capitulate.
You capitulated at some level to get to this state of power through this white social standard.
We created that word, by the way. I've recently heard it somewhere else. And I meant to call you. I was like, guess what the fuck I just heard?
Word.
Yeah.
So you capitulate to fit into this white narrative, right? I.e., when that job calls and you change your voice, you're capitulating. You know what I'm saying? It's a retardation. You can't be no full man if you got to capitulate, right? Now let's go to the street side of shit, right? You're also capitulating because you're mimicking an idea of what gangster is when that ain't really gangster. Because Rahm Emanuel's a motherfucking gangster.
The dailies.
That's clear. The dailies is motherfucking gangsters.
Okay.
Right? That shit you doing is a retardation. It's some clown shit at a lot of levels.
For sure.
Right? And when you even look at the way we move, and this speaks to our community and how we deal with our community, how that element deals with our community, right? When you really assured of who you are, right? When you really walking in that space of power, you don't respond to the shit the way they respond to the shit, right? It wouldn't be as many shootings in our community if they really were who they said they were.
Right.
Because they shoot because they're afraid.
Right.
Right? They really just cowards hiding behind an identity that they didn't create it.
Right.
It's really not authentic on neither end.
Right.
Right? And I say that for sure because I deal with a lot of them and I deal with a lot of the other class too. And I know how all of them respond to me. You know what I mean? So we got this retarded kind of understanding of what masculinity is.
Right.
And we're operating from these two polar opposites of the spectrum, and both of them are false identities.
Right. If I was really that tough and gangster, you know better than to come over here fucking with me.
You
know what I'm saying?
you wouldn't even have to carry it like
That's
that.
what I'm saying, because you know don't come over here playing with me.
You wouldn't have to carry it like that.
Right.
And again, I was raised by men, right? So I've seen the hardest dudes that you think is the hardest dudes.
Oh.
See my father, who's a little man,
Oh, okay.
shrink. See my uncles and shrink. See Walter Beach and shrink. Right? So from me having a vantage point that I had of perspective, I could see immediately, oh, that ain't what it claimed to be.
Right. This ain't that.
This ain't that. But I had a unique advantage. You know what I mean? A lot of my friends fell hook, line, and sinking to the idea. You know what I mean? I always talk about 95th Street. 95th Street is ran by the folks. But once you pass Cottage Grove, it's ran by the Stones. I'm good money on both sides of that spectrum. Right? And I've gotten into it with both quadrants of them people. You know what I mean? But I've never had to shake it or never had to run. I ain't never gonna get jumped on because it was a certain level of respect for me, just for me in general. Not the group that I represented or nothing like that, just me in general. Even when I was in college and I'm part of a fraternity, i.e. same kind of game concept, right? But me, specifically, never anchored myself into the gang identity, right? And just on some funny shit, I guess you could say, you know how colleges are and you go strolling around a party or whatever, you break that line, there's usually a problem.
For sure.
I could jump in the line with all them niggas and it would never be a problem, right? But someone else do that and it looks a different kind of way.
I had such a fight in college.
Yeah, and it looks a different kind of way.
Wasn't my fault, but whatever.
But I don't think that's because I was like hanging my head on some tough Tony shit. It's just because I walked in that space and presented uniquely as me. it's no facade. It's just this what it is. You gonna respect me as me, and that's it. I don't have to pretend to be.
Right.
You know, I was always comfortable in my skin,
Mm-hmm.
and I just see that so many of us just aren't, and it leads to these like aberrations of accountability.
It's us not being able to just be as white folks are able to just be. We got to just take a break. When we come back, we'll have more on the other side of this break. So I said what I said. Howard and Toussaint for another hour. Reese the Ruler is in the production studio. We'll be right back after this.
You know black people can be black all the time.
False.
WIFTBPM.
Since 2018, nearly 3,000 tax credit scholarships have been awarded to black students in Illinois to attend private schools that best fit their needs. Now, Governor Pritzker wants to slash this program. In a time of much uncertainty, we need greater equity in education for our families and children, not less. Call your state representative and senator and urge them to stand up for our kids and their future by supporting the Tax Credit Scholarship Program. For more information, visit empoweredillinois.org.
You're listening to I Said What I Said with Toussaint Werner and Herb Howard.
What are y'all takes on blended families?
Meaning white people? Or what? No, she mean like you got kids, this person got kids, y'all get together and bring the whole family together. I don't know. I have zero experience with it. I imagine it could be challenging. Especially, I think the older the children are, I think the more challenging it could be. I think if it's little children or something, you can kind of explain it to them, and they may like grow up together and kind of in that same space where this is mom, this is dad type thing. But if you talk about older kids where they literally have a mom or dad, another person like that has been in their lives, when they're older, and you're like, oh no, this is your stepbrother, stepsister. Like, nah, we like 17. Like, I'll bone her.
And if this family don't work, you can just give me to the game anyway. Ain't no other, it ain't gonna matter. No woman will ever be important. I'm not being an ass. I'm serious. In my mind, the value of that kind of a commitment is family. I got that already. So now we just chilling. So you ain't gonna really know my children.
What's up, good people? You're listening to I Said What I Said with Toussaint Werner and Herb Howard live on What's In It for the Black People Media, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m.
You about that life? I'm about that life. You ain't really about that life. If you really about that life, JC, spit a key. Let me test your work. Boss, you the boss? Let me test your work. Jeezy, you talking breezy? Let me test your work. Cam, you the man? Let me test your work. Dre and Snoop, like that chronic, I need something stronger. Molly cute, that's like an aspirin for my daughter. Big time, in the club with a case of Ace. And I sniff that whole table. Scarface, another court case. I'm a frequent offender. When Wyclef was hot, I was gone to November. 6 years, hard time. Bobby was fucking up, Whitney could have been mine. We would have been so high and so in love. When Amy Winehouse died, I could have saved her. I could have smoked like half of that. She wouldn't have had to go in cardiac. Arrest, hands up under her dress. Lindsay Lohan her mess, but I still cope above her breast. I must confess, I heard from a little birdie. Bring some crystal meth, you can get that from Fergie. Had a real nice dream, me and Charlie Sheen. Few Playboy bras, I was high in Rock Ford. Brick after brick, like Shaq at the free throw. I stay hard, I put coke in my pee hole. You bout that life?
Welcome back, family. We are live and testing work inside the What's In It for the Black People Media Studios. Thank y'all so very, very much for choosing to hang out with us here on this glorious Monday afternoon. It's a beautiful day here in the city of Chicago. I hope it is a beautiful day, or at least that you are feeling quite beautiful wherever you should find yourself. Thank y'all so very much for hold on. All right. Thank y'all so very much for tuning in to this edition of I Said What I Said. My name is Herb Howard. My co-host, his name is Toussaint Werner, and Reese the Ruler is in the production studio holding it down. He is co-host of Week Whole Wednesday, which is fastly gaining a reputation. What you say at the top of the show? It's the other show. All them other shows is what?
Oh, fuck all them other shows. They just basic.
Right. If you have yet to catch your first edition of We Code Wednesday, stop missing it. You're really tripping. All right. It airs every Wednesday evening at 8:30 p.m. right here on What's in It for the Black People Media Network and on the We Code Wednesday page. Make sure y'all get into it. It is always a good time. Put the kids to bed though, because it is not suitable for work or babysitting.
I'll do it like Boosie. I think Boosie put a child in the tub and then go watch it. So
that'll do it
for a whole hour.
Baby be pruning in them. Baby be wrinkled in them.
Benjamin button ass baby.
Mama come back drunk as hell. Like, damn, what? We Code Wednesday, man. Stop missing it.
Real quick, Salim comment. He said Rockwell Gardens in the Chi and the housing projects in Rochester, Pittsburgh, D.C., Baltimore, and Newark, New Jersey. Dog it. I'm sorry, y'all. Significant New Jersey crimes were significantly diminished by the NOI affiliated in unarmed dope busters in 1989. 2 years later, Congress forbid their participation in federal housing projects. Had that program been supported, expanded, and reinforced, could have changed crime trajectory in our communities. I fully agree, and I remember that program. I read that on purpose because May just bought us a package in here from Brother Beach. He done sent a package up to the station.
Uncle Walt
sent the package to the station, and I figured this what it was.
Sewell to the Beehive.
Two of his books, Consider This by Walter Beach. We're supposed to get our book club back started, and Consider This by Walter Beach was the book, so it's supposed to be read. We're supposed to talk about it today, but we're going to try to get it done by Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
Let's say Tuesday, but really why I said that is because I wanted to, since Salim is listening now, I wanted to put him on the spot and see if we can get him on the show Monday of next week and have Uncle Walt on the show with him and have this kind of intergenerational dialogue. And then Tuesday we move into the book club conversation. And, if you all got the book, you can all chime in and I'll have Uncle Walt on the call with us to discuss
personal
the book.
messages and everything on the inside.
Yeah. Who's this? Yeah, look at that. Check that out. My man Beach. So, yeah, Salim, we want to see if you're available Monday, man. Come rock with us. If you don't got the book, we can give you a copy because we got two. They're signed to us, but so we'll have to get this back apparently.
It's okay.
But, you can read it. I've already read it. But I'd love to have that conversation with Salim and Walt. A lot of conversations.
That would be so phenomenal, man. I remember before the late, great Philip Jackson passed away, at the highlight of my week, like hands down, was always just about 5-6 minutes that I got to spend with Philip Jackson and Salim Wakil every Saturday evening as we're transitioning from Philip Jackson's show into Salim Wakil's show. And so, while we were switching the studio, would always get a chance to just kind of sit back and be a fly on the wall and listen to the conversations the two of them would have. Phenomenal stuff. And always was the highlight of my week. And so this would be super, super dope if we can get Uncle Walt, King Salim in the same conversation. Man, I just want to be there. I just want to be there. So hopefully that works out and we'll see what comes from that.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
There was something I was about to say and I forgot. Don't worry about it. Anyway, just tuning in, we opened up the show. We were talking about Kevin Garnett, who at his Hall of Fame speech thanked traveling vice lords for, allowing him entree safely, passing through the West Side as a kid from South Carolina coming to the West Side of Chicago and being the superstar athlete that he was. You need some passage. Like somebody's got to, I don't want to say okay it, but somebody has to be like, hey, let him be. You know what I'm saying? And if that was the traveling vice lords and whatever they've continued to be to him, then good for him. You know what I'm saying? Good to him. And then shout out to him for being real enough to acknowledge it and salute them in his Hall of Fame speech.
I think that's representative, though, of the value of
it's what we've been talking about all day,
masculinity, though, right? So what they did was they recognized something in KG, and they honored it and respected it, right? And I don't know how that played out, but the fact that he talked about him 30 years later, you know what I mean?
I think there's zero chance that KG was out selling drugs or shooting guns, right?
And it ain't even just about selling drugs or shooting guns.
What I'm saying is that don't mean that the family relationship ain't there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. But even to the point of you talking about like your experience with Ron,
Yeah.
going to them games on the West
Yeah.
Side, right? So there was a contingency of people who was going to ride for Ron, and I'm
Yeah.
sure there was a contingency of
Yeah.
people who was going to ride for KG.
Sure.
It looks like family. I love you,
does.
dog. I'm gonna make sure you good out here.
does.
You know what I mean? And granted, KG's a ball player, and I think we have these kind of idealized views of how that plays out. That energy doesn't just happen with ball players.
Right.
It happened with any of the shorties who bout some shit.
It
Right?
does.
Any of the shorties is on something, even that contingency of the community is going to uphold it. They're going to support it and respect it. At least that was my history, right? What's happening today, I can't speak to because I'm not in the field in that way,
Yeah.
right? And oftentimes, we hear these stories about this innocent kid that just got this, just got that. Even in the way Don was talking about Lil Reese this morning, like, man, he's a kid, he's a handsome kid. He's a demon.
Ain't no way
Flat
around
out. He's a demon.
Ain't no way around
You know what I mean? And that energy is cyclical. G, it's gonna come back to you eventually, right? So I'm not excusing none of our behaviors at no level. What I'm saying is that we need to grow our energy in a different direction. Because even that demon element, usually we talked about humanity and morality. Even that demon element in my generation was based in some moral ethic or code.
Right. And
Today there's a savage energy where there is no moral ethic or code.
So let me ask you this. Do you think that savagery or that lack of moral ethic and code, do you think that's born out of how many people in our community, right, want to completely dismiss that segment entirely, as opposed to finding ways to make that segment of our society useful and beneficial to the collective? Whereas now it's like, nah, all of y'all savages, we want to lock all of y'all up, i.e. crime bill in the 90s. And as that continues to grow, it's like, okay, yeah, now they aren't anchored into anything. So now it ain't no rules. It is whatever. And so it's like,
What's the Maasai warrior saying? How are the children?
how are the children?
Right? So if that's the perspective in which you're coming from, then we've been fully assimilated.
True.
You know what I mean? If that's the perspective that you're holding, then you are, this is what I say all the time.
Dark-skinned white folks.
You're a dark-skinned white person. You know what I mean? And that's the results that we get. But that speaks back to those two opposite sides of that spectrum too. And that's not just in male behavior, that's in black behavior. Right? Here's these two opposite sides of the spectrum. But we act just like that extermination of the brutes. We're preying on the people that we own, the only people we can't prey on.
Yeah.
Those beneath us. You know what I mean? So the economically stable prey on the poor. Right? The street stable pay on those in those communities too, the poor too. Everybody's preying on everybody and you get what you get. Right? I.e. the dysfunction of a community. It's not a community. Right? So someone asked, if we're not going to coalesce around capitalism, what do we coalesce around?
Blackness.
And that's it. Right? We change the value structure. You know what I mean? I.e. going back to someone telling me that black people was the moral compass of America. Why? Because we recognized we didn't have no capital and we wasn't even invited to the table. So we couldn't set our value system up on that paradigm.
Nah.
We wasn't invited. You can't even drink at the water fountain. How you think you going to judge yourself by the same standard that man's judged by? Right? So you created a different value system.
Right.
Something else has to matter more.
Your money ain't even good here, fam.
Your money ain't even good.
You
can't even spend it
You
here.
can't pay twice as much to get a meal here, fam.
You can't
Okay?
even spend it here.
How much is gonna cost turn one the whites only pass and the nigga pass? How about I turn you in the nigga pass? Okay, that's nothing matters. And so I think that what we have to be aligned with is an identity that says, okay, blackness, and then let that be our North Star for every decision we make in terms of who we want to cancel out of our community, who we want to bring into our community, and how we want to function therein. But when you have this splintered faction of blackness, where everybody is kind of off into their own pursuit of the American dream, then that unity and that collective identity, it just ain't there, right? And so if you are on something other than what I'm on, blackness ain't enough to anchor me back into you. You know what I'm saying? It's just not.
But it's the same thing you just said. Like, we don't fully understand and identify the white man, right? Here we are in capitalism, praising capitalism, in love with capital, and we don't fully understand capitalism, right? So it's the confusion around the indoctrination, right? So even, and I'm not saying don't be that kind of person. It's not my kind of. It's not where I align my value set.
Sure.
Right? But even if it is where you align your value set, if you just look at the board, every other people that has obtained some level of success on this game have coalesced around community first, right? Which is why the identity conversation always comes into play.
They've been threatening as a collective.
I've always told you, like, the ADOS conversation is great around reparations, and I value that. But that is not the greatest value I find in the ADOS conversation. The greatest value I find in the ADOS conversation is that it gives black people in America a specific identity, right?
Here's your jersey, fam.
Here's your jersey, cuz. Put it on. Let's play as a team. And that's it. It just changes the conversation. It gets us out of Black History Month going to any grammar school in the city or any high school in the city.
Yeah.
And everything you see as an ode to Africa when you don't have any context to Africa.
But once we got on the same jersey, then we rocking and we move together as a team. And it don't matter if Dennis Rodman is the craziest motherfucker out here on the court. He on my team. Okay, and so he can curse out everybody, every ref. He can fight every other nigga on that team if he want to. He can get tossed out of every game. He can take his shirt off. He can pierce his nose and dye his hair 17 different colors. He played for us. And, in fact, we use him, right? We use how fucking crazy he is to be successful as a team, right? No, you not finna fuck with Mike because Dennis will beat your ass out here, period. And Mike ain't no hoe himself, but Dennis will beat your ass, okay? So, that, like, we gonna leverage that. Whereas how we move, the Dennis Rodmans, if you will, of our culture, we don't want nothing to do with them. Get them the fuck away from here. Like, okay, well, who gonna do the dirty work? You?
No, we like the Dennis Rodmans.
No, we don't.
We don't like the Charles Oakleys.
Same person, in my opinion.
They ain't the same.
Okay.
Dennis wore makeup and a dress.
Well,
that behavior is acceptable from that contingency.
I'm talking about on the court, though.
I'm talking about in general. Again, be clear, though. Even though the behavior might resemble the same thing, it's not the same thing, right? And I say that in the sense like I just got banned from Facebook for 30 days for saying lesbians are known to be violent. That's what they banned me for, right? And I really mad at Facebook because I don't think they know how to count because my 30 days have seemed like 2 months, and I didn't used to care about that, but now for us to make this podcast travel, it matters. You know what I mean? But even if you've ever seen that community, the homosexual community in our community specifically. They're an aggressive, violent community.
They fight a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. You know what I mean?
They fight a lot.
Right?
They fight a lot.
Well, Charles Oakley has a different understanding. When I fight, you're going to have a problem. It's not going to be a lot, but when I get here, I'm making a statement.
Yeah, we got to deal with that.
Yeah, we're going to have to deal with that.
You got to deal with me. But I think, I just think that type of person, right, has a specific value on the team. And I'm talking about on the court, him and Dennis Rodman being the same. So after when we not playing, right, what you do in your personal time, that's on you, fam, okay? But when we're talking about we all play for Team ADOS, what you bring on the court matters. When you get off the court, you over there in your corner, so I don't give a shit. They asked Michael Jordan on Oprah or something one day, like, what happens when you're running the Dennis Rodman out in public? Mike said, what? Running the Dennis Rodman? I'm not running the Dennis Rodman. We ain't in the same place. How the fuck am I running to him? You know what I'm saying? It don't matter. But when it's time to put that Bulls jersey on, okay, I want him on my team as bad as I want anybody else on my team. And that's all I'm saying. So when we're not talking about ADOS issues, if you in the back with a dress on, okay, fam. But when we are talking ADOS, take your fucking dress off and put your jersey on, okay? Like,
even if you got your dress on, just hold tight to the team identity.
No, because the team identity is not the dress. It's the jersey. Put your jersey on, okay?
I feel you.
You can't hoop in the dress, okay?
I feel you.
Come play, all right? When we get done playing, all right, after we get done with whatever rally we got to go to or whoever we got to appear threatening to or whoever we got to sit down and talk to or whatever initiative we need to put together, cool. You show up and be, the proper teammate here. When we leave, fam, go do whatever you want to do by any means. And I can appreciate that.
Ready Rock says, how about highlight our resilience? For every wayward person, there are more. And I don't know how to get. I'm assuming there's more people who are on track. I couldn't see the comment and move. I struggle with that though, man.
Yeah.
I look at that like how the 5%ers break it down. It's 5% with the understanding, 10 in the middle of that, and 85 who just dumb, deaf, and blind. I think it's the 5 and the 95. You know what I mean? I think that, again, it goes back to the statement I make about there's not many black people in America. It's just a bunch of dark-skinned white people. I think that marketing and media, we don't give it its just due. Right, I think imaging and messaging dictates behavior. Maids today ask, where's black messaging and where's black media? And just think about it. Whoever funds that media, that's the media it is. They might have a black face in front of it,
Sure.
but it's not black media. So you get these outlets like this one, and you get these outlets like VON, and we struggle to get listenership. You know what I mean? But then you look at, let's say, the Angela Rye's of the world, or, you know, we can go down the line, and you know, the Teslans, Fieros, we can just keep going. You know what I mean? And these people become the voices of our communities. And when you dig a little bit deeper beyond the surface, even Black Lives Matter for that matter, right? And you start to dig a little bit deeper, and you start to see, you know, where their value really lies. Like, you know, this woman's buying $4 million cribs in all white communities. All of them are married to, even if you're going to be a homosexual, all of them are married to people outside of the black ethnicity. You know what I mean? Now, you might not like Dr. Umar, but the shit you talking about is going on in your community, or that you have a problem with. You know, when you had this problem with this fake idea of this large contingency of black men marrying outside of the race, Dr. Umar flat out says, you know, I ain't with that shit. Then them same media conglomerates get on conversations with that dude and shun him for saying it, and there's like this applause for them attacking him for having this specific idea. That when we not on the public sphere, we championing these ideas. It's just confusing to me.
It's confusing because we haven't accepted our identity. We haven't. I don't know if we. I was gonna say we haven't found it, but I think that you're right in the ADOS conversation. I think we have found it, but we haven't all accepted it. And because we haven't accepted it, then I don't have to stand with you with that kind of fierce loyalty, because I'm not convinced that this is the team I want to play for. I still think that I'm trying to get to this team, no matter how much I fight and how strong of resistance they put up to me joining their team. That's the team I want to play for. And I don't understand that philosophy, but that is clearly how the vast majority of us move.
We move based on the understanding that media wants us to have.
Exactly.
Going back to Mays again. I'm saying his name again. Right? But he was like, this morning, he was like, we need to get out of this philosophical conversation of what black people are supposed to do and get to some tangible results. I full out disagree. I think even the results that he considers tangible are still based in a philosophical idea. You know what I mean? And it's a philosophical idea that I think is flawed. So to get out of the philosophical conversation and just get to the tangible results of whatever the philosophy that you've bought into just makes me another sellout. That's all it does, right? So it's creating a paradigm. And if you're tired of hearing me talk, and I ain't talking about May specifically, but that becomes the problem with these kinds of media outlets. This is why the message struggles to travel, because we're tired of hearing these conversations, but we've not internalized the value of these conversations, because we just chasing capital, because we bought in a fully assimilated. That's it. And full assimilation is no sign of sanity. To assimilate into an insane society is no sign of sanity. But again, it's like what I said, where you could shun Dr. Umar for publicly having an idea that you privately have in your community. I'm confused.
We have this conversation all the time in our communities, right? About, you know, dating and marrying outside of the race, specifically about black men doing it all the time as soon as they get some measure of success, right? And, you know, the data would tell you otherwise, but you also can watch said award show or said draft and see a lot of this stuff actually happening, right? And so I think that the issue comes back to, if we can get a singular and accepted identity across the board, then we can move in other spaces, but they will be moves that are guided by our identity. And so even when we do have money conversation, or even when we do make money moves, it is made with the intention and understanding of it being in the best interest for the collective, right? Is this a good move for the ADOS team? And if it is, then cool. You got to get to bread in America somehow, right? But how you go about getting it and who's being shat on in the process matters.
So Ready Rock says, I know black gay men that despise the one-sided imagery that gets promoted. They pick the least offensive in all arenas, which is why being black first matters. I agree. I got a gay black cousin who used to tune in all the time to the show, you know, and we would have conversations all the time. And he would speak to me, you know, I don't got no reference point for that community other than him. You know what I mean? And he would speak to me all the time. I always talk about, I bring this up all the time about the brother who was on May's show. And he was like, Mays asked him, how did he identify? And he was like, do you identify as black, male, gay? Well, how do you identify? And he was like, I identify as gay first for sure. You know, and Mays was confused by that shit. I was confused by that just hearing it. You know what I mean? But in speaking to my cousin, he was like, man, there's a lot of people in this community who rock like that, which speaks to what I just said. We've assimilated. You know what I mean? So you show up in a room, you think your gayness or your homosexuality speaks louder than your melanin? It doesn't. They formed this and forged an idea. You think racism doesn't exist in the gay community and the homosexual community? You out your damn mind.
Absolutely.
Right? They don't see you as gay first, even other homosexuals. That's an insane concept to have.
Right.
But that's how lost we are in the structure. And I'm not painting with no broad brush. So don't confuse me. I'm not saying, you know, the hell with the gay people or the gay contingency. I'm not that kind of dude. I don't give a shit about what you do behind closed doors. I'm going back to Herb's statement. Like, if you got on the jersey, we rocking. Period.
No debating. I think it got frozen again on Facebook, but not on YouTube.
No, we good. At least up over here. We moving over here.
Okay. Anyhow, I think that again, you get to see that play out in so many different ways. And so when you have, you know, people are not up in arms about this push to remove critical race theory from schools, right? And 3 states have already outlawed it and several others are already pushing for it. And you're not upset about that. But you are fully eating up every bit of the narrative about how violent we are, right? You are fully invested in that conversation, right? How violent black people are. But the fact that they trying to take this other narrative and say white people ain't been what white people have been, that's okay with you, that bothers me. That bothers me to my core, much, much deeper than anything with some white people. It's just not the same thing.
Down to Earth on YouTube says, or could it be that people identify with the group they feel closest or safest with?
Yeah, that should be black people. Like, if you feel safer with white people, you've missed 450. You've missed some shit.
That's a reflection of what I'm talking about.
That's what. But I've always said that. I've always said I feel so much more comfortable on 71st and Jeffrey than I do in the middle of pick a fucking suburb.
But that's down to earth, and I'm not putting them on blast. But this is a reflection of how I'm saying we're confused in our identity, right? You just like you said, how could you must have missed the story,
and it's a huge obvious story. How you miss it?
Right. And even to the point of the homosexuals, even if you saying I identify with that community, and you wouldn't have to have a Black Pride Week in Chicago because it would be gay pride. You would rock with them. You know what I mean? It wouldn't have to be a separate entity. Right? Gay black contingency would live in Boys Town instead of in
Jackson Park,
you know
on 71st. Yeah.
Right. You ain't the same. It's the conversation I keep having. When you go to the government and you fight for legislation for i.e. that community, because that community matters first. Sure. Those resources don't come to 71st Street, little man.
Nah.
That's not where they're coming.
Nah.
You're confused about the narrative. So if you do feel safer there, or if you do feel more comfortable there, again, that's what we need to be addressing. You're confused. It's no way possible.
We are having a severe failure to communicate. Like, if you feel safer as a black person around white people, and I'm not saying that that's the point Down There was making. I'm not exactly sure what point they were trying to make. But I have heard many people make this argument, right? I'm trying to get away from you niggas. Put me out there by the white folk. Right. You feel safer there? Are you out of your...
But
out of your fucking mind? I think so. Like, I don't.
It's funny to me, and I'm assuming the conversation that was happening on YouTube is specifically in reference to the gay,
I think
the
so.
homosexual conversation. But it's just like you just said. It's no different than the family saying, "I want to put my child in school with white people." It's the same conversation. Right. It's lack of value in black identity. You know what I mean? This has no value asset to me. Let me run from it.
Big Mark Aguirre is in the building. What's up, legend?
Because this has no value to me, I'm going to what I do deem as valuable.
Yeah.
Now it's easy to make that comparison with the homosexual crowd because they might dress a little bit different. They might express a little bit different.
Sure.
And we've accepted the white concept of better than. Yeah. The white man's ice is colder. We've not fully accepted the gay concept of better than, although it's showing, it's coming.
Yeah.
At least in regards to traditional black masculine representation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But that's the only difference. The only difference is that we've not fully accepted it yet. And we're on our way to fully accepting that being a better trajectory than traditional black male masculinity.
100%. You almost rarely hear the term masculine without it being prefaced as toxic first, right? I was explaining our show to somebody, a black man. Where exactly was I? I don't remember. But I was explaining our show to somebody. I do remember where I was, and I remember who I was talking to. But anyway, I was explaining the show, and I was like, "Yeah, it's an unapologetically masculine perspective on the issues that we face in the black community." And he was like, "Well, what do you mean when you say unapologetically masculine?" I'm like, "That's what I mean, right?" He was like, "Well, that can be off-putting, right? And, it come across a certain way." I said, "Yeah, that's the point I'm making right there. That response that you just had."
This is a man?
It's a black man, significantly older than me, and
don't rock the boat, boy.
Yep.
Get that kind of master.
Yep.
Fuck out of here.
Y'all best be careful.
But see, that's why there's a difference between old people and elders. Mm-hmm. It's a distinct difference, right? Mm-hmm. It's also a reason why the shorties, when I said I had that program on the West Side and I asked them how he felt about the men in the community, he said they bitches, right? Because we've not been in a position to walk in our polarity.
Wow.
Well, let me not say we've not been in a position. We've, Ready Rock said our resilience. You can relate it back to the conversation of Nat Turner. Mm-hmm. When he said, "What's our first act of revolution?" He was like, "Kill everybody who ain't fucking with us."
Right.
We can relate it back to Toussaint and Dessalines. When Toussaint was like, "No, let's chill," and Dessalines was like, "No, fuck that, let's kill everybody."
Let's go.
We can relate it back to the movie Black Panther, when Killmonger was like, "I'd rather die in the ocean with my ancestors." I mean, the story is a common story in our community, right? But those who have tended to survive are those who have usually shunned their natural human spirit, right? We call it resiliency. An Indian, a Native American might call it cowardice, which is why you can't find but 5 of them motherfuckers. I don't know. It's a matter of perspective.
They was too nice. They should have been like them.
Is it more valiant to die for what you believe in? Or is it more valiant to shut the fuck up, keep your head down, and keep it pushing? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even want to have this conversation because I don't want it to be disrespectful. But I don't know if the Native Americans died because they wasn't willing to assimilate. Right? I think they just opened up the door and then they weren't equipped to win that fight.
They weren't.
Right?
They weren't.
Versus like that remote. And I forget the group of people, but that remote group of people who live off in the middle of nowhere by themselves. Their culture has been largely untapped for thousands of years, and then that white dude showed up like he was finna research them. Research who, fam? Research this motherfucking needle in your motherfucking
we gonna kill your ass on sight.
Die, goofy. Fuck is wrong with you? Don't come over here, okay? And I think that's what the natives should have been on with Christopher Columbus in here. Hey, we just said die. Stop playing. All right, not up in here. And I think that there's some value to that. Like there's some value to wanting to be that way. But I think that now we've gotten to a space now to where anytime you are in perceived opposition, then you become like, I had a huge argument with some people this past weekend, or maybe a little bit before the weekend. We're having a conversation about gender identity, right? And the conversation was about, people choosing their identity, their gender identity, right? And I was born a male, but I identify as a woman, or vice versa, right? I am whatever. You know what I'm saying? You can be whatever you want to be. It's cool with me, right? I am accepting. I am an advocate. I think I'm an ally, right? However, the statement I made was that if I'm in a store, right? I'm just walking through a store, and there's a 6'3", 250-pound man in my way, and I just say, "Excuse me, sir." And then that 6'3", 250-pound, obviously appearing man turns around and goes off on me immediately because he's upset that he actually identifies as a woman, and I just said, "Sir," I said, "I'm going to go off too," right? If all I say is, "Excuse me, sir," and you turn around and spaz and go off, I'm going to go off too. they like, no, that's insensitive. You got to understand where they're coming from and how they being attacked. They got to understand this too, right? That understanding has to go both ways. And so while you are trying to educate people to understand that they want to change their identity, and again, that's perfectly fine with me. If you want to be called a pit bull, I will address you as a pit bull. It don't make me no fucking difference. What matters to me now is that you think that you can just turn around and go off on me because you are in the LGBTQ community. Fuck you, fam, okay? I am in the human being community, and you are going to address me with a level of respect, or I'm going to match your energy. This ain't about you being identified as a woman no more. This is about you going off on me for no fucking reason. If you would have turned around and said, actually, I identify as a woman, I would have said, I'm sorry, sincerely. Ma'am, excuse me, right? But if you just turn around and spaz, I'm spazzing too. Fuck you.
I'm not engaging in that conversation.
Cool.
Right? I'm not. You feel like I wronged you, man, fuck on. Blame Mythical Sky Daddy. I'm not engaged. I can't have stupid conversations no more. I can't. It's a stupid conversation to me.
It is, but I'm mad at you going off.
Man,
I'm just spazzing now.
That's somebody told me not too long ago, man, they had some like 50 genders. I just moved around. Yeah, I wasn't even. Yeah. I'm not finna have a conversation.
And then these people got so upset and it turned into this whole big old thing. And I'm homophobic and I'm like, you don't fucking know shit about me. I am far from homophobic. Like,
ready? So we just lost. I don't know. Maybe it's just on my side. It looked like we lost the Facebook feed, but maybe not over here. I don't know. Ready Rock says, I'm annoyed that we don't pay respect to the ancestors that sacrificed so we could be where we are. We didn't get here by keeping our heads down, not reacting when wrong, etc. We're so disrespectful to our ancestors and why they did what they did.
Right.
So I don't want to confuse the conversation already. I asked a question, right? I asked a question of which one had more value. I didn't say one way or the other. I fully recognize that I'm here because some people kept their head down. You know what I mean? And I don't know the circumstances of that. And I know that slavery was brutal. Mm-hmm. And I'm fully aware of that. But I do think it's worth the question. I think, and specifically in regards to the context of the conversation that we having today, right? So after eons and eons of maybe it wasn't keeping your head down, I don't know, but there was absolutely some level of subservience. Mm-hmm. Because if we look at the trajectory of black folks in America, the outside of, let's say, the Civil War, there's never been a contingency of black folks that just said, hey, we sick of this shit. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? The story is always, and again, too, the victor tells the story. I'm clear and aware of that, right? Sure. The victor tells the story, but, you have the conversations of the Deacons of Defense. You have small contingencies. You have the Black Panther Party. You have the New Africans. You have, you can go down a line of small contingencies that done some amazing shit.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But they're exactly that. They're small contingencies. There's never been a collective move amongst black people to say, hey, man, we sick of this shit.
No.
And what I'm saying is, when you start thinking about, I think it was Don's show and Mary said something. They was talking about the virus or whatever and how you're going to have to be required to show this paperwork for a vaccine and all that, mm-hmm. right? Now, this gets inside of different kind of conversations, and it might even get into some old conspiracy theory type of shit. But when you think about Germany, or when you think about the Rwandans and the Hutus and the Tutsis when they had the war in Rwanda, a lot of that shit was contingent on how media curtails messaging, mm-hmm. right? A lot of that shit, when you start to see civil liberties getting taken away, and everybody starts accepting them one by one, mm-hmm. right? And next thing you know, you find yourself in servitude, or you find yourself being victimized, or you find yourself at a metric that you can't even believe how the fuck I got here. Right. You find yourself as a Palestinian, and an Israeli can walk in your house and say, "This is mine. Mm-hmm. I live here now, bitch." Mm-hmm. You find yourself there. Well, I'm starting to see those kind of things take form. Mm-hmm. Right now, we might not be recognizing them and such, but that shit that happened at the Capitol on January 6th, we ain't never seen that shit before. Nope. That's not normal. We ain't talking about it right now like it's just okay. Them people ain't dead. Them people ain't in jail. Them people ain't went away.
They definitely ain't changed their mind.
And they definitely ain't changed their mind. Trump is on TV every day. There's a conversation about Trump every day on the television. Mm-hmm. Every day on the news, there's a conversation about Trump, mm-hmm. because he still has a hold of the Republican Party in a large capacity.
Still quite relevant.
It's a lot of shit taking place right now that we're just kind of watching them go past.
Burying our head in the sands, like
We're
Ray Roberts
burying,
said.
we're burying our head in the sands.
Mm-hmm.
This shit is not normal. And when you start thinking about us moving into the fourth industrial revolution, when you start thinking about the wealth gap being what it is, when you start thinking about them talking about universal basic income, when you start hearing reparations become a part of a presidential debate stage, as much as I want reparations, I got to ask myself, what the fuck going on here? Because I feel just like everybody else. They ain't giving that to us. We got to take it. And I don't think that we just ask who's the black leadership in our community. How the fuck are we demanding the most economically viable thing that could ever happen in black history in America, and we can't even speak to who black leadership is? It sounds all weird to me.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that, because in the same conversation I was just talking about the gender identity thing where people was upset, just before we got to that topic, the topic was about reparations. And I was saying, of course I'm for reparations, but a bunch of black people are like, nah. And their reasoning was the reparations should be in the form of education. Because we need to, if we don't get the education and can't teach financial literacy, then none of it fucking matters. And I'm like, are you like, what's wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what somebody does with their money. It is a debt owed to them. Don't fucking matter what they do with it. So if they go out and they buy rims and J's, they buy rims and J's. So the fuck what? That ain't none of your business, and it ain't for you to say they don't deserve it because of what they might do with it. I don't give a fuck. You don't. Somebody work for you, give them their paycheck. You don't say, I'm gonna give you a paycheck depending on what you're gonna do with it. No, fuck no. That's not how that thing works. But the same people who was like no on reparations were also the same people who were like, you just gotta let people like LGBTQ community or people who are going through a gender identity change react however they want to react to you, and you just shut up and take it. You got me fucked up, okay? Because at this moment, this needs to be about gender identity. And it's about respect and respect only. Nothing else fucking matters in this shit. And yeah, nothing else fucking matters in this shit. And so, you know, I don't know, man. But
Salim said, natives' fault, they lost. Enslaved Africans' fault, they lost. The enormous power of the settler colonists who was disproportionate, the last poets before the white man came, if we had known what they had in mind, they all would have died in the bay. So I can't remember the name of this TV show that was on, but the dude Orlando Bloom has a monologue, and from what I understand is that it wasn't written into the script. He just kind of ad-libbed this shit. Man, this shit is the most powerful shit that's ever been in black TV. I wish I could find it, but he's in a barrel of a slave ship. He's in the bottom of the slave ship, and he's talking to these slaves, but he's like a spirit. You know what I mean? He's not like a real dude. But every let me stop saying slave. Every African in the bow of the ship is seeing this spirit, and again, it's a reenactment, right? So there's kind of implying that even though they're captured Africans, they don't even share the same language and all that shit. But because he's a spirit,
they understood.
He can communicate with everybody, right? And he was like, "Where we going?" He was like, "You fucked." You know what I mean? And
I seen it. And then they ended up rising up and like, fuck it, we gonna send this bitch up.
He was like, even if you die here, it's better than dying once you get to the shore, because you gonna be fucked. Then your kids gonna be fucked. Then they gonna be fucked. You fucked. But the way he articulated this message is some of the most powerful TV I've ever seen. And they took that show off there. I'd never seen the show. I've only seen the clip. And there's like another clip floating around.
We played that clip here, G.
I love the clip, so I wouldn't doubt it. I can't think of I can't remember the name of the show, but I've never seen it. You know. But I'm not disagreeing with Salim. I agree wholeheartedly. I just think it's nuance in the conversation, right? And that's exactly what I said. There are contingencies of people who rose up. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Shit, there's a story that before the transatlantic slave trade, sharks didn't eat human flesh. You know what I mean? But they was dumping so many fucking bodies over the boats that they just started, it changed the ecosystem. They just started following the boat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why they can smell blood from XYZ miles away at this point. Because it changed the genetic makeup of a damn shark. That's how many people was going overboard. And was they going overboard because they were just diving overboard? That's respectful too. Or was they going overboard because they was pulling it with Whitey? Right. You know, I don't know. Yeah. But I know that we've not accumulated any power via that mechanism as of yet. Right? But if we're moving in the way that we're moving today, and we fully accepted this idea, back to the question that was asked on YouTube, maybe you feel comfortable with these people. I'm confused. How could you feel comfortable with them people? right? Because every chance they get, they show you that you should not be comfortable with us. They show you that you should not be comfortable with our ideas. They show you that you are.
We don't even want you to be comfortable around us.
You are at best subhuman. You know what I mean? You are at best subhuman. So when I see, like I said, the things that happen at the Capitol, when I see the reparations conversation being brought to the presidential debate stage, and then I look at us as a contingency from my perspective of us, who I love dearly, and I don't see a power contingency. I don't see it. I lived through Minister Farrakhan when he was at the height of being Minister Farrakhan. I was at the Million Man March. You know what I mean? That was a reflection of power. I lived through Harold Washington being elected mayor. That was a reflection of power. I could see it. I could feel it. It was tangible. I could touch it. I miss Malcolm. I miss King. I miss those. But I lived through certain moments where I could touch it and embrace it. I could feel the energy. I don't feel that today. Right? Someone asked me, who's the representation of black leadership out of my demographic? I'd be foolish to say anyone other than Jay-Z. And that's laughable to say that out loud. But that's who we look to. And if it ain't Jay-Z, it's that contingency of Jay-Z people.
Shit.
Right?
Diddy.
It's that shit. And they're not moving the culture forward. They might be moving the culture of capitalism forward. But they're not moving the culture of blackness forward. At least not in my eyes.
And again, it takes different segments. It takes different skill sets. I was talking about Dennis Rodman earlier, but everybody ain't gonna be Dennis. Somebody gonna be Jordan. Somebody gonna be Scotty. You know what I mean? That's fine, right? Everybody don't got to be the motherfucker that's going to toe-to-toe and fight, right?
Shout out to Brandon. He said American Gods is the name of that TV show.
Okay. I've only seen the clip too, but
I'm about to try to find that clip.
I'm pretty sure
we in the show with that.
I'm pretty sure we've played the clip on the show.
I think we played it maybe when we was at the other joint.
No, we it wasn't that long ago when we played it either, but find it. Reddy Rock said earlier something. She said you don't have to be a soldier. Just don't be. What you say? You don't have to be a soldier. Don't be an enemy. Stay quiet and out the way. Right? Nobody's telling you to go fight. If you like, hey, I don't want to go fight them. Okay, fam. You don't gotta go fight. The people who are about to go run in that house though, and go kill the fucking masters, that's cool, right? You don't want to go. You don't have to go. You can stay here and watch the kids, okay? Just don't go screaming and telling people that they coming, okay? Just don't go being in their way. Don't go shunning them. Don't do nothing. Just shut up, okay? And I feel the same way about reparations. If for whatever maniacal reason that you come up with in your head, you are, as a black person, opposed to reparations, just shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? You don't want it? Cool. When those who are fighting for it, when they're successful, I bet your black ass cash that check. I bet your black ass take that check right to the bank. So just shut up. You ain't for it? I don't know why you wouldn't be for it, okay? I don't know why you wouldn't be for killing Massa either. But for whatever reason, if you ain't for it, cool. Shut your ass up. That is an option, okay? If you can't improve on silence, say nothing. It's okay.
Everybody in the comments saying the Orlando Jones' name was Mr. Nancy from the American Gods, and they say they fired him after he did that monologue.
I don't doubt it.
Further proof.
I don't doubt it. Don't doubt it, Jay. Like, he's talking about a revolt. He's talking about an uprising, right?
Oh.
Let's be clear, man. No, I won't speak for two. I'm fully aware when I'm saying these things about how we need to respond to the energies and the problems that we face in this country. I'm fully aware when I'm saying these things, what the backlash, what the consequences might be. But as aware as I am of those things, I am equally or even more so aware of the current set of circumstances that we live with now. And all I'm saying is, fuck that. I don't want to deal with that, right? And so if we run up on the deck and we send it up and we get shot and threw it into the ocean, so be it. I'm not finna stay down here in this motherfucking cramped ass quarters no more waiting to get to do. And then I still don't even know what else y'all finna do to me yet. You know what I'm saying? And y'all have already done some of the worst shit ever. And I still don't, I don't even know what's coming next. I'm not waiting for that, is all I'm saying.
D.S. Sanders in YouTube just said a Virginia court has ruled that the N-word can be used to refer to a black person. And you're saying that your identity with being gay, you identify with being gay first, then we are really, then where are we really headed?
Got a problem
A
here.
Virginia court just ruled that you could use the N-word to refer to a black person. I got to look that one up.
Well,
I'm not hip to that one.
I would imagine that the ruling probably has something to do with, it not being a self-defensible type of thing, right? So a white person goes, nigga, 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 I punch him in his motherfucking shit. I'm not covered in that. You know what I'm saying? It's not hate speech or it's not threatening speech. Maybe hate speech, but it's not threatening speech for me to be able to enact self-defense because of it. I would imagine that that's kind of what it is, more so than.
So over the weekend, the Dunkin' Donuts manager, I can't remember where it was, he knocked some older white cat out.
And the
white
man died.
Cat fell, hit his head, hemorrhaged, then died later on, and he's been charged with murder.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume.
Oh, they talked about that on May's show, I think Friday.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, Mays had some strong opinions about it. Ruthie has strong opinions about it. Todd has strong opinions about it. Those opinions were not the same, though. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I don't know what their opinion was, but
you could imagine.
Yeah, I could imagine. But I don't want to get into that. But I would. Why wouldn't the older white gentleman calling him nigga be considered a hate crime? Why couldn't I feel
or threatening?
Because
you came.
When you know the history of the word nigga, then I should be able to respond in any way to protect myself.
It started in the driveway. I mean, in the drive-through.
And he
you
came
parked
in the
your
place?
car and came in.
Oh yeah, he should not be in
you
jail.
You came to harm me.
He
now.
need a better lawyer.
You
he
came to harm me.
in
now.
jail,
you know what I'm saying? But again, as black people who do not have a singular identity, we find it okay to be like, nah, he shouldn't. He should have just did this, or he should have been. Man, miss me with the foolishness. Okay, miss me with that. We just have to. I don't know, man. We gotta get to a space to where our identity as black people is paramount to everything else.
Yeah, I guess Mays said on that show is that he needs to go fund me. Yeah, he does need a
right.
better
Now,
attorney.
Mays was in staunch support of the young brother, and of course Ruthie was with the shits.
Yeah, I'm with Mays and Ruthie. Todd was tired now.
Big Todd. Big Todd.
Hey, man, I found this clip. We only got a few more minutes. I want to play this. Y'all love this shit.
I hope it worked, man. The intro video didn't.
Am I up on your joint? Maybe we don't get it. I don't know, man. Maybe DJ can just play the sound if we don't got the video.
I got you now. Hold on. Let's see. We might be. Yeah, we played this joint like 2 months ago, but come on.
It wasn't no 2 months ago.
On Larry, it was like 2 months ago, maybe 3.
Larry, it wasn't.
Play it. Is he hooked up to the Rogan there?
Once upon a time, a man got fucked. That's the story of black people in America. Shit, you all don't know you black yet. You think you just people. Let me be the first to tell you that you are all black. The moment these Dutch motherfuckers set foot here and decided they white, and you get to be black, and that's the nice name they call you?
That's a nice name.
Let me paint a picture of what's waiting for you on the shore. You arrive in America, land of opportunity, milk and honey, and guess what? You all get to be slaves, split up, sold off, and worked to death. The lucky ones get Sunday off to sleep and fuck and make more slaves and all for what? For cotton, indigo, for a fucking purple shirt. Only good news is the tobacco your grandkids are gonna farm for free is gonna give a shitload of these white motherfuckers cancer. And I ain't even started yet. 100 years later, you're fucked. 100 years after that, fucked. 100 years after you get free, you still getting fucked out of job and shot at by police. You see what I'm saying? This guy gets it. I like him. This guy gets it. He's getting angry. Angry is good. Angry gets shit done.
church and the power that mocks God.
We're being attacked, locked up, and thrown in the street. I need information.
Skip that.
That's it.
Oh, that was the whole thing?
Yeah, that was it.
Well, what actually happens after that is they go send it up. Okay?
I've never seen the send up part.
Gee, all right, man.
Hey, what was you at on that day? I literally, this is the second time I saw this on your show.
I don't know what's wrong with him. We
This is
played
the
this
second
clip.
time I
G.
saw this
Well,
on
we
your
need to
show.
play it every damn day.
I agree with you.
That?
I agree with you on that piece. I just don't know why you don't remember the fact that we just played.
We need to play it
I've never-
until you get
I
mad,
don't even
like
know
the
what it is.
African that was sitting there because he got it.
We played the whole thing.
Angry.
They
Right.
send it up
Yeah,
after
they
this,
send it
G.
up. And that's
They
how I
go
know.
upstairs and start killing shit. Like they talk because he go into like they gonna light this whole shit on fire. Like they know at the point when they get up from there, they know that they ain't finna like send it up and then take over. They like, yeah, it's finna go down. All of us finna go. But I tell you what's not finna happen. Okay, I'm not finna keep putting up with this bullshit. I'm not finna be fucked for 100 more years.
American something is in the comments. I'm going back and finding that whole
American
fucking
Gods?
season. I'm going to watch that. I'm going to watch it.
It was great. It was great.
I've never seen the show at all. I've only seen the clip.
Yeah, you've seen that clip and you
clip sold me.
you were greatly moved by it, and we played it here.
Yeah, you're fucked.
Fucked. 100 years after that,
still fucked.
Okay. 100 years after that, you still can't get a fair chance at the job, and they police is shooting you dead in the street.
Starting to get it now.
I like him.
I like him. He's
getting
angry.
Yeah.
Anger gets shit done.
Anger gets shit done.
Yeah, I fuck with that, man.
Period. We gotta go.
I'm going to watch that today.
Yeah, I'm with you. Thank y'all so very, very much for tuning in to this episode of I Said What I Said. We appreciate y'all. As always, all of y'all input was valued. It was appreciated.
Let's not be fucked 100 years after this, y'all.
Let's not be fucked 100 years after this. And please don't convince yourself that white people gonna change their mind and start treating you better if we just
Jacob
hold it.
Israel, he ad-libbed that. Nobody wrote it. That was off the top of his head. That's why they fired his ass.
If we just hold the line a little bit longer, if we just tread water just a little bit longer, we'll get to a better space. Nobody on that ship or nobody black in America today has gotten to a better space. Not as a collective. That shit is not real.
Hey, all y'all inbox Salim because he's talking about he had a schedule conflict. Make him cancel whatever else he had going and be in here Monday.
Cancel the whole thing, King Salim. We gonna make that happen. Whatever we gotta do, how we gotta adjust it. We gonna make that thing happen. Either way, don't forget tomorrow, Tuesday, on the Book of Dawn. Dawn Millhouse has a very, very, very special guest. Right? She ain't been telling nobody yet. I honestly don't know who it is. If I knew, I'd throw y'all a little secret and tell y'all. But I don't know. But very, very special guest. Y'all make sure y'all tune into the Book of Dawn tomorrow
First
at
name Mike,
9.
last name rhyme with Dyson.
No, it wasn't Mike Tyson, but that was just one she just kind of dropped in on the people like, boom, look what I can do. Get Iron Mike on. This one, she kind of been teasing at it for about a week or so.
Who's bigger than Mike?
I don't know. Had something to do. She had some hints today. Had something to do with Sugar. Somebody from Chicago.
It gotta be Beyonce. If it ain't
It's a
Beyonce,
guy.
nobody's bigger than Mike.
It's a guy. Something about Sugar in Chicago or whatever. I don't know. Y'all watch the Book of Dawn tomorrow. It's at 9 a.m. We'll be back here on Wednesday at 1 p.m. For Reese the Ruler, Toussaint Werner. My name is Herb Howard. Y'all be good to each other.
Salam
Peace.
alaikum.
Me and Charlie Sheen, few Playboy bras. I was high and rock forward, brick after brick, like Shaq at the free throw. I stay hard. I put coke in my pee hole.